So, to make my game, I used Game Maker Studio 2. I researched on different softwares to make your game. While I was researching, I found out about many other softwares, for example FlowLab. Although with FlowLab, what I thought was that FlowLab was a little too amateur to make this game that I thought of. Therefore, I looked at tutorials on Game Maker Studio 2 and looked at how people made their games and what they eventually came out as. I was quite impressed with what I saw, and therefore I started using Game Maker Studio 2. It turned out to be that Game Maker Studio 2 was not a bad idea. What my game is about is obesity. It basically creates awareness on obesity and allows children to know what to eat and what they should not, or basically what they should avoid. These days, obesity has quite become a problem for youngsters. This is as they would eat what they feel is quite tasty and not what is healthy for them. Therefore, they would usually eat junk food, fill their stomachs up, and after some time, they find themselves becoming obese. And since then, it becomes very tough to them to fit into the society and do certain exercises that they could have easily done if they had followed the right diet. So now let's move on to the game and let me show you how it is played. This is the start screen where it says press enter to start. Therefore, after pressing enter, we'll go into the first room where the boy is able to be moved by the WASD keys, up, down, left, right, and the boy also shoots the French fries, which is a junk food, with the no junk food signs. And if the last one is shot, this moves to level 2, where another enemy rises, which is the burger. Here we can see and shoot all of them. What happens when a chips or a pack of fries or a burger hits the boy is that the game starts all over again. Like now, if I do this, I probably leave one of them to kill me. Let's say I was moving that way to avoid one, and this hits me. If I kill this, there. So that's basically how people would get addicted to the game and want to play it again and again till they've killed all the enemies. While doing so, they would finally realize that what's right for them to eat and what's not. So let's move on to how I made the game. First of all, to create all those objects, we had to create sprites. The player, which is the small boy, had a sprite. The shooting bullet, which was the no junk food sign, also had a sprite. The pack of chips, the burger, the title screen, the title background itself, and the background for the rest of the rooms, which were the levels. All of them needed to have sprites. We can then move on to tile sets. Tile sets are basically the tiles that are used in the background. These were used in level 1 and level 2, the blue background that you could see. Moving on, we could go to objects. For every sprite, there has to be an object. If we go to object player, which is basically the player, you have your sprite here connected. The object is connected to the sprite. After that, you have to create events. For example, in the create event, you should put a cooldown. A cooldown, which basically means that the player is able to move and cool down after every move he does. Next comes steps. In step, we put basically the direction he's supposed to move in, which is here. We could see set point direction. which is basically where the mouse moves. So mouse X is the X coordinate of where the mouse is, and mouse Y is the Y coordinate of where the mouse is. Instance rotation. The rotation, it will rotate according to the direction that we just set, which is basically wherever the mouse moves. Then comes the if variable. Here we put it as if the mouse button, left mouse button specifically, is pressed, then it means that it therefore means that the cooldown variable will be activated again. If that happens again, object junk, which is basically the bullet that we're going to shoot, is going to go in the direction X of the mouse and the direction Y. It will go over the layer instances and therefore cool down the object that's going to hit by 5. That's the step. Then we move on to the key down on the keyboards. This is A, where if we can put a jump to point variable where it says the object will basically jump to the point that we set relative to where it is at the moment, which is basically -4, which means moving to the left from wherever it is and not moving in upwards or downwards direction. Therefore Y is 0. The same is for D, S and W. Then we can see object enemy here, which is the pack of fries. Next to it is this symbol, which basically means a collision. Therefore, if the object player, which is the boy, collides with the object enemy, which is obviously the enemy, the game will then restart. Like this, we have for the bullet as well, create, where it will move in the direction of the mouse at speed 10, that is set. You can make it faster and slower. And then we have colliding variables with each of the enemies, which would then say that if the bullet collides with this pack of fries, the health point of the pack of fries reduces by 1. Then there's the destroy instance. You see the pink outline here? It basically means that if the value of the health points, HP, would reach 0, then the instance would be destroyed. Therefore, object enemy is basically the enemy, the first enemy that we have. For the enemy, we have to create a step. First of all, a create variable, where we assign a variable which is health points and give the value 5. We give the value 5 to each enemy, as that is what is quite adequate. Then we put the speed of the enemy to move in towards the player at 0.5. This is quite slow so that the player gets time to kill the enemies. The same would be for the other enemy, which is the burger. Then we have the title object. The title object has a create, a step and a key up enter. Key up enter is basically when the enter button is pressed and released. That is when it will move into the next room. As we can see here, the variable next room. We have the object score over here, which is basically saying that here we assign a variable which is the score, which is seen at the top of the room if you play the game. Then we have the draw event. In the draw event, the score is basically where the score is going to be written in the room. Therefore, we can see what's going to be written: speech marks score colon, and then that's how it's going to project on the room. And the value is the score, so whatever the value of the score will be is going to project here next to score colon. Here are the coordinates of where the score writing is going to be projected in each room. Then we move on to the rooms. In the rooms, we have the title room, level 1 and level 2. In the title room, we can see that we have of my first game, press enter to start. This is shown also in the game when I ran it. That allows the player to know what he has to do to enter the game. Here we use the tile background for the title screen, which is given by Game Maker. Then we move on to level 1. As soon as we press enter, we'll move to level 1, which is this room. This room has the same tile background that I said, and the object player, including the object enemy. Level 1, there's only one enemy, while in level 2, there come two enemies, two different types of enemies. In this room, we can space out this enemy wherever we want, at how far we want, and with that speed that we set for it, it will move in towards the player. When we move to level 2 is when this player is being attacked by all these, and when all these move in, this guy can shoot all of them. When this last one is shot, it moves to the next level. The same is in level 1. When this last pack of fries is shot, it moves to the next level. That is how the game basically works. Let's try it one more time. There it says press enter to start, so we press enter and then we can shoot. As you can see, there's a score up, and as I shoot, the score increases. If I kill this one, I move to the next level. Here I can kill all of them one by one, and there I was hit by the one. That's why it started the game all over again. Thank you for listening. That's my game.